Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And welcome to another very special edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Brian, what's up, my man? How you been, bro? Talk to me.
Man,
how you doing, brother?
Good, man. My daughter was promoted today to the 6th grade, so she'll be a middle schooler next year. So
Very nice.
Did that whole thing. So
love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that was my day, man, and it was pretty good.
Awesome. Love it, man. Love it. And hey, listen, hopefully it gets better once we talk a little bit about pro wrestling. And there's a lot more to discuss. I feel like it's been a common trend, at least on these Thursday editions of this podcast. So there's a lots to go over. There's a big pay-per-view coming up this weekend. We got NXT Battleground. Of course, we've talked about this little mini collaboration that's going on, or this partnership, I should say, that's been going on with TNA and NXT. Maybe that can now go into broader stakes to the main roster. Who knows? You know, especially with Endeavor. I spoke a little bit about Endeavor and this partnership with TNA. Anything could possibly happen to definitely get numbers and viewership and streaming services up over on TNA's end. So you never freaking know with that. But we'll discuss a little bit about Battleground and that whole pay-per-view there. Of course, we got Dynamite. Not a whole lot much to really go over. Nothing that was kind of just really, really awful, but nothing that was really over the top that special. But we will go over it to its degree. And of course, we got Monday Night Raw as this love angle, this love triangle, whatever you want to call it, this redemption story with Liv Morgan, and of course, trying to seduce Dominik Mysterio while Mami is on the shelf. We're going to get all into that. Of course, we got Chad Gable and the Alpha Academy. That whole story continues. All of that tension continues to build up. And then, of course, we got Raw, which is to further along the story between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, as they got a big main event match for Clash at the Castle. And speaking of Clash at the Castle, that is going to be our big pay-per-view review coming up. That is next week. We got a big special guest joining us. It is locked. It is officially in for that special guest to be a part of the show. I know he's very excited. I actually spoke to him just the other day, so he is very excited. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun, man. So make sure you guys check that out. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly for WWE Clash at the Castle. So let's not waste any more time. There's a lots to go over in the show. So let's jump into it. And I do want to start off with AEW Dynamite. And I'll start off with MJF, the Wolf of Wrestling. Is that what he's calling himself now, Brian? The Wolf.
I like it, man. I think so.
I
yeah,
like it.
I like
too.
it.
It's got a nice little spin to it. Absolutely. Like I said, he's ditched the scarf. He's ditched the suit. You know, a lot of people continue to make the comparisons of Triple H because he's got the freaking leather jacket, but that's a different story. So he starts off, he kicks off the show. Freaking love it. I mean, either MJF is either kicking off the show or he's ending the show. There's really, honestly, no in between. But he cuts a promo and he pretty much calls out a lot of people. He calls out
everybody.
He calls out Will Ospreay, freaking makes fun of his whole bruv freaking spiel. And then he calls out Swerve Strickland. That was the last person he called out. And I'm sure these are seeds, I guess you can say, that are planted that MJF is going to probably cross paths with, you know, down the road. So we'll soon find out. And then Roosh, that's right. If you don't know who that is, I don't blame you. But Roosh comes out to interrupt MJF. He cuts a promo talking about, oh, you got this big celebration. Here you are coming back. You know, oh, you were at home, you know, healing your wounds, whatever, this and that. And here I am busting my butt, putting on tremendous matches, making a name for myself. Like, where's my celebration? Where's my spotlight? MJF said something really, truly funny. You know, he talked about the relationship with him and Roosh. He said, listen, you know, I remember you, of course. I'm not going to act like I don't remember you. No, I paid you a shitload of money to take out Bryan Danielson for me, so I know what you're capable of. And he makes fun of his suit. Like, dude, like your suit, your wardrobe is drier than any girl that you've slept with. Just freaking great. That I mean, MJF again. It's like you see that babyface persona, but it's still that classic MJF that you get with some of these zingers. So I thought that was just freaking great. So he goes back and forth with Roosh, and this kind of just led to a pull-apart brawl. They ended up brawling inside the ring, and then you got security and officials kind of breaking it up. And that was pretty much the segment there, as I'll just keep it as short, as sweet as that. So, Brian, I'll let you start, man, in regards to this. So it seems to me, and the main thing that I kind of took away, and I'll get more into it later, is it seems like this Adam Cole MJF continuation of their story is just either just done, or it's either putting on hold once again. I don't know. Because now it seems like MJF is completely moving on. He's going to be in this, I guess, mini feud with Roosh. Now, you can look at it many different ways. You can think like, okay, why Roosh out of all people? But you can also think of it a different way to say, oh, well, MJF, he's going to carry the storyline. This could do wonders for Roosh. It can kind of be like, the calling card for Roosh and what he's truly capable of. But I'll explain a little bit more about it later. But Brian, I'll let you get your takes on MJF and him starting off AEW Dynamite, bro. What did you think?
Right now, kind of a excuse me, a little bit of a mixed bag, but again, it really ultimately depends on how the story plays out, because it's a little, I love the promo by MJF. Of course, he's always going to be gold on the mic. And he starts naming, calling out the who's who of AEW, Danielson, Omega, Swerve, Ospreay, so he's calling all these people out. And then Roosh comes out, and look, the dude is talented. Like I think he really truly is. He could be a star. He is a huge star in Mexico, like legitimately is. I think for like, again, you talk about your, like, it's two ways that I see it, and you kind of alluded to it earlier. Like, if you're just bringing Roosh out here, you have this match, it's gonna, I guess maybe at Forbidden Door this match will happen. Who knows? Or did they already schedule it for like next Dynamite? I'm not even sure.
I believe it's going to be at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
I believe. I don't think it's been official yet, but that's where it seems like it's going, because they would have announced it.
Because that's only a week and a half away anyway, right? Or is it longer?
No, I guess Forbidden Door. I think it's another 2.5 weeks. I want to say.
Yeah,
because it's I believe so. June 30th. I believe is the date for Forbidden Door. So yeah, it's about a little over 2 weeks.
So it's one of those things where, like, visually, and again, unless you're like a big time wrestling fan, right, who knows Roosh and what he's done in Mexico and the reputation he has, and what we've seen of it, or at least what I've seen of him in AEW, I do like him in the ring. I mean, he's good, decent on the mic, but it's just, like I said, you name all these, like, the who's who of AEW, and then Roosh comes out. It's a little bit of a letdown. It feels like on TV, visually, right now in their careers. But as you alluded to, like, Roosh has this match. Yeah, that is a good way to elevate his stock and see what he's really capable of. So if they do really follow through with that, then, I got no problems. But in true AEW fashion, I feel like this is just going to be a one-off match, and then we won't see Roosh for a month, and he'll be back in Mexico, and then, yeah. So that's where I see that going, man.
Yeah, it's the thing I look at is too, right? And ever since MJF has been off television, and we were skeptical whether, at least some fans were like, oh, is he going to go over to WWE? Like, and most of us were like, guys, like, there's no way that would ever happen, because I'm sure a contract was either signed on the dotted line or at least discussed before even MJF went off television, right before, what was it? World's End, I believe, was the last time you saw MJF when he lost his title. So, but we had all of this, at least intrigue and excitement to where, man, you got Undisputed Kingdom. And then when MJF comes back, he's going to be this mega baby face. And not only have they completely derailed this fucking faction, I don't know what the fuck this faction is, Brian. I really don't.
No.
Like, it's just Roderick Strong and the Kingdom, which is Michael Bennett and Matt Taven. And no Wardlow. There's no sign of Adam Cole. I don't know what we're doing with those two either. it just doesn't make sense on how you build all of this suspense. So I guess the satisfaction was what you saw at Double or Nothing, to where MJF returns, he gives a brain buster, and that's it. And now we go our separate ways, I guess, unless you're going to tell me that they're going to continue to prolong this to a bigger setting, a bigger pay-per-view once Forbidden Door is over. It just doesn't add up. It's just so weird. And dare I say, it's kind of underwhelming to a degree, to where we were so excited, not just for MJF to be back, because MJF makes this fucking show 10 times better.
Absolutely.
Just put him, in a freaking segment with a microphone, and I'm good for 10 plus minutes. But on top of that, it was what he was going to do when he came back and faced off against Undisputed Kingdom, right? Yeah. And it doesn't seem like we're even getting that, at least as of right now. And it's just, now what? The plan would be to, they're going to prolong this for next couple weeks. Like, by then, is anybody going to fucking care? Right. And keep that in mind, as I have a similar idea in regards to WWE, in regards to what's going on with a certain wrestler. But with MJF and Undisputed Kingdom, it's just so weird on how we just completely just erased everything in regards to the turn from World's End, and just how everything has transpired with Undisputed Kingdom. It's just so weird. And now he's in this shtick with Roosh, to where, I mean, it could end up, working out in regards to helping Roosh and maybe getting Roosh to some type of superstardom, to where all you got to do is just follow MJF's lead, because he's going to carry this motherfucker. And all you got to do, Roosh, is just do your part. The question is for Roosh is, can he do that? Because we know he's a good in-ring performer, right? But what else can this dude bring to the table? I mean, the promo he cut was decent, not too bad. It was better than most. I mean, I've heard worse promos, but I've heard better promos. So that's the main question. And I guess, and I don't mind you trying to find that out, and what better way to put you in a certain situation, in a feud, to test yourself, than MJF, to where you don't even have to do freaking half the work. You just got to do quarter of the work of what you need to do. So, but at the same time, man, it's just like, we had all this.
It's underwhelming for MJF.
Right. Yeah. It's just like, you return. We expected the return. And right out of the gate, we got some juicy storytelling with MJF and Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom, and all of these maybe little segments and vignettes that you have planned once this, this storyline kicked into high gear. And that's not the case at all. So that's the main takeaway I kind of really took away from this, is that it is just, man, this was something that was so hot in AEW just not too long ago, to where now it's just non-existent, to where Tony Khan doesn't even, it seems like he even wants to acknowledge it anymore, let alone Undisputed Kingdom. So I don't know, man, in regards to that. But listen, MJF, and listen, if I were to speak for me personally, and I don't like to do a whole lot of that on this platform, I just don't. But if I did, MJF is the only person that I honestly give a damn about this show. Seriously. Maybe, I mean, Swerve Strickland, we'll see with his title reign, and Will Ospreay. But outside of that, man, I mean, you got the learning tree with Chris Jericho. I made a freaking post about that, by the way, because I know a lot of people are just shitting on it, and for most of it for justified reasons, right? Like,
it's not, some of it's funny as shit, though. The way just Jericho's delivering it.
Yeah. It is. And dude, and I'll be honest with you, because listen, I understand. Is this the best shtick that Jericho's ever done? No. It's honestly at the bottom of the totem pole. It just really is. But I'm telling you, Brian, I'd rather watch Chris Jericho in 3 to 4 segments in this shtick than watch another banger AEW match that accomplishes nothing. Right. So that's all I'm saying.
It's Jericho with Redwood and Bad Apple. I mean, come on, man.
It's and I guess we'll see where it goes. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's AEW.
I don't even think this is meant to be like a long-term type shtick, but for what it is right now, and it's like you said, it's not going to be like on Chris Jericho's hit list or anything like that. But just the way Jericho is delivering it and it's almost like it's like he's so arrogant about everything, but at the same time so naive and
Yes.
sincere about it. You know,
Right.
it's funny,
Yeah.
man.
No,
Yeah,
that's how it comes across, man. And listen, whether
yeah,
people like the shtick or not, I mean, that's just that's a personal preference. But but the thing is that you have to respect Chris Jericho to continue to reinvent himself. Right.
absolutely,
He's been
man.
the painmaker. He's been a wizard. Right. He's been freaking El Champion, whatever. Oh no, that's Damian Priest. El Campeon, whatever the fuck his name is. All these
Yeah,
other
what's
freaking
late
sticks that
late champion, wasn't it,
Le
or something?
Champion. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So all of these shticks and gimmicks that Chris Jericho has done to where, yeah, I mean, it's very impressive. And Seth Rollins has done it to a degree over in WWE where he's reinvents himself a lot in the industry. And Chris Jericho, as he gets older, he just continues to reinvent himself. And yeah, some shticks are better than others, but I think that's the main takeaway is that you just got at least respect for Chris Jericho
Yeah.
to go out of his way to try something to and like you said, Brian, at least as of right now, like it's funny to a degree.
Yeah.
And it works to a certain degree as well. So I don't know. I just think that there's a lot more things to bitch about in this company than Chris Jericho and the learning tree, if I'm
Oh
just being
yeah,
honest
for
with you.
sure, for
So
sure.
that's my
And
takeaway. I'm not
I'll even say out like 2 weeks ago or whenever it was originally formed and he came out with that, I was like,
yeah.
what the fuck is this? And it's fucking cheesy as shit.
It is.
But like and that was, I guess, my initial thoughts of him when he created it. But now, like seeing him, 2-3 weeks into it and
Yeah.
how he's delivering on the promos, I mean, he's
Yeah.
making it work, man. He
Yeah, I
is.
mean, yeah, you're starting to see like the character, like the learning tree shtick, kind of come out, and you saw
Yeah.
it this past Wednesday or yesterday, last night, to where like he's backstage, he's like, "Hi guys, hey y'all, what you?" Like just being,
It's like this cross of like Mr. Rogers, but like an underhanded prick. You know what I
right?
mean? It's
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, listen, man. Look, kudos to Chris Jericho. Again, it's not one of the best sticks he's ever done, but again, praise just goes out to at least for him to
Yeah.
go out of his way to reinvent himself, whether it works out in the long run or not. Which I don't think it's gonna, like you said, Brian. It's not meant to
I
be
don't
like
think it's
really
really even intended to, really,
I don't think so either. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, and again, I just think there's a lot more to bitch about in this company, and there's a lots to really, for justified reasons, to really be like, what the fuck is going on in this company than Chris Jericho in the learning tree. So, but let me get over to Swerve in this world title. And Brian, I know you got some stuff about Toni Storm, and we'll get into that to kind of close out AEW, at least AEW side of things. So Swerve Strickland had a match with Roderick Strong, obviously winning the match. Again, it's one of those matches to where he's your world champion, and I just don't understand this shtick, Brian. And we've talked about it before, to where he's the fighting champion. I'm gonna put my title on the line against this person, and then next week or the week after that, it's gonna be against you. It's just like what's the notion now of like having world champions in this company, and not just for the AEW world title, but like the Continental Classic title, the International title. It's just so fucking weird. Like that's just the original shtick to do for a babyface.
Mhm.
It's just very, very odd. That's just number one. So it's just like, let's Swerve be Swerve, man. Like Swerve, like we talked about, like this blue collar, I worked my ass off to get here, and he did. But like, just let Swerve, the Swerve that got him to this point, let that person just thrive in the
Mhm.
babyface persona, kind of like what MJF's doing right now. It's still MJF, but it's more of that babyface stylist type of gimmick, right? So let me get to Will Ospreay in this match, and we've spoke about it last week, to where it's just very odd, this face versus face type of concept, to where I don't know, man. It's just a very odd matchup. And the only thing, and I've heard this just from a few people, to where with Will Ospreay, like there's a chance that Swerve could potentially turn heel. And I'm thinking, he just turned face. So you're going to flip flop him in the span of what, 2 to 3 months? That's what's fucked up about this, right? To where you've built Swerve up to this point as the top babyface, as the champion, and now because a bigger face in Will Ospreay is now facing him for the title, now we're just gonna turn Swerve Strickland now. So,
Right.
see how things just don't add up, Brian? It's just so fucking weird. It's just like we're turning Swerve Strickland because, like, oh shit, we got Christian Cage, we got Chris Jericho. We don't have a whole lot of other top heel characters now that MJF's the top babyface. You got Will Ospreay that is a top babyface. You got Okada, but he's more kind of like in a certain role with the Elite, so that doesn't really count as the top heel in the company. Well, shit, we got to now turn Swerve back into a heel. It's the only way. That's where I'm just, and honestly, Brian, I could legit see that happening to where they could potentially do something. And again, this is just off the top of my head, and I'll let you get your thoughts in about this. They could have Swerve Strickland turn heel moving forward to where Will Ospreay now becomes, I guess, the secondary biggest face in the company, to where, because outside of MJF, because I mean, MJF in your company, we've mentioned, like, he's the top baby face right now. There's nobody overshadowing him right now. There's just not. So Swerve Strickland, to where he could turn heel, he can turn on Prince Nana and maybe join the Elite and kind of be, I guess a helping hand to the Elite, but I don't know how that would work because he's your champion. You want to promote him as like a legit solo champion on his own 2 feet. But that's just something I can see this company doing, to where fighting against the Elite, and if you have to go up against the Elite, you got to get past the world champion, and that's where MJF and Swerve Strickland will kind of cross paths, to where now I guess it somewhat makes sense because they're no longer just faces. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense out of this because I don't understand how you can have Swerve Strickland walk into this match and not have him win this match. But at the same time with Will Ospreay, how can you have him lose this match after what he just did, winning the Continental Classic title or the International title, winning the International title and having the match that he did against Bryan Danielson? It's just a weird situation, and that's why people say it's too soon. It's why rush it? Why do this? That's why, because if you really break it down, it truly does feel like it's rushed to a degree. But Brian, I know I kind of went pretty broad with that, but your thoughts in regards to Swerve, the match with Roderick Strong, and this upcoming match with Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door?
Yeah, I'll start with the match, man. I mean, my question to the match is, what was it? I don't know, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was, when Ospreay beat what's his name beat Strong for the title.
Strong for the international
so how the fuck how does he fail up? How does he lose the title and then get a world title shot? I don't know. Explain that one to me. But yeah, I mean, the match is, again, it's not a feud here that with Roderick Strong. Again, you mentioned, like, what are they even a faction anymore, or what the fuck is going on with that? And it's so weird. So I mean, the match was, it was a good match, but yeah, storyline wise, it's just, what the fuck, man. And then going, into this match now at Forbidden Door, I almost see it the other way, where if you remember, like a couple weeks ago, Ospreay he was wrestling somebody on Dynamite. I can't even remember who it was now. And Don Callis was out there, and he kind of came over while Ospreay was on the mat, and was saying something to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Ospreay is going to be the one that turns heel and goes back with the Callis family. That would be the possible route they go. But then my drawback or my issue with that is, yeah, you're having Swerve lose the title already, and I don't feel I said my piece about that. But
yeah, and not only that, but it's just like Will Ospreay is beloved by a lot of wrestling fans right now. So how the fuck are you gonna boo this guy?
Well, I think because I think ultimately what they do want to set up is MJF and Ospreay.
Oh yeah,
and if you're having MJF is the face and Ospreay is the heel.
I guess I don't know. It's just it depends on how they go about it to really make fans boo Will Ospreay, because this dude, you
Oh,
can, and I
I
said
don't
it
know.
last
I don't
week.
necessarily know they'll boo him in this match against Swerve because I don't think AEW has done enough to, once he won the title, to
Yeah.
continue and build that momentum.
Right.
They
And the thing
haven't.
is, like, if they have him turn heel, is it going to be into a way to where fans just like the turn is that dastardly and sadistic, or whatever, however you do it, that
Yeah,
you just have to boo this dude, because he is beloved right now by a lot of wrestling fans. So
sure,
you have to do
sure.
something really creative to not only help MJF in his babyface shtick, because I mean, again, he's the guy right now. MJF is
Mhm.
the babyface, not just on Dynamite, but in this fucking company. So if that's the case, to turn Will Ospreay heel, and not saying that can't happen. Honestly, in this fucking company, they could legit pull a 180
Yeah,
and
I
do
really
fucking
don't know.
anything.
Like you said, this match shouldn't be happening right
It
now.
shouldn't
Anyway,
be
for the
happening.
titles, it's
It's just
yeah,
a weird pairing. It just doesn't make sense at
yeah,
all. Like, to where, and the thing is with Swerve too, it's just like, and Brian, you mentioned about it before. It's just like the new flavor of the month is Will Ospreay. So, you've built up Swerve Strickland up to this point just for him to go up against Will Ospreay and holding on to the title for what? How long? Maybe about 2 months, a little over two
something
months,
like that. Yeah,
just to now give it to Will Ospreay. It's just like, then what? All of this hard work to get people to connect with Swerve Strickland and the dance and all of this shit, his entrance, just to now say fuck you in a way and say, yeah, we got to put the rocket on Will Ospreay, because you're in this pickle to where, well, shit, Will Ospreay, he can't fucking lose. Swerve Strickland can't freaking lose. Somebody's gonna have to turn.
yeah,
It's really bad booking, bro. It
yeah.
really truly is, and it
I
just doesn't
wonder.
make sense.
I don't know what his contract status is, but I think Swerve would be a good candidate to, or whatever, like when his contract does come up, if he went back to WWE. To be
I don't know.
honest, like, yeah, that just popped in my head. But
I don't know what
think
Swerve's
what his
contract
status is
situation is.
now to
Hmm.
what he's built himself, I don't think. I just don't see him going much farther in AEW. I mean, you give him this. I don't know. Again,
Yeah,
Tony Khan's. You know what? That's a typical cokehead for you. Like, you don't know what. Like, 1 minute is this thing, and the next minute is that. Man, you don't know. You don't know.
oh man, it's just so weird, man, of what the fuck
I
we're
don't want to get
doing.
sued for defamation. So that's just I'm speculating. I'm speculating. I don't know. But
Yeah,
it's giving off those vibes.
yeah, yeah. We've spoken about that before. That's a different discussion for a different day. But yeah, it's to close that out, because I don't want to harp on it too much than we already have. It's just very weird on how we're getting to these situations to where, oh,
Yeah.
don't worry, Will Ospreay's going to do this, and maybe Swerve's going to turn heel, or Will Ospreay's going to turn heel. There's all these different options, but it's how we've gotten here to where we look at also Forbidden Door. Oh, don't worry, Forbidden Door. It's just a pay-per-view for just having banger matches. So
I don't
maybe
give
that's
a
the case.
shit about Forbidden Door, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't. I mean, not that it's not going to be great matches, but again, what, maybe 10 to 20% of them will actually have storylines and some meaningful shit going forward. The rest of
Yeah.
them are just banger matches, man. Like,
Pretty much, man.
yeah.
How many matches do you think are going to be on this card? I mean, when it comes to,
Oh,
I've talked about this company just overdoing it when it comes to the match card. I mean,
I'm going to say 10 to 12. 10 to
10 to
12.
12.
10 to
I
12
was
matches.
thinking at least around maybe 9 to 10. I was thinking around
Or
there
you know what?
probably.
Let me draw that back a little bit. I'll say 8 to 11. 8 to
8
11,
to
somewhere in
11.
there. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I've spoken about the match card, man, and just how that's just like, listen, I get it, like, we're not complaining when it comes to too much wrestling, but sometimes, man, like you just need that down period, man, to where to like let things kind of soak in. And when it comes to AEW, to where, oh shoot, we got to put on this next match because it's got to go 15 plus minutes. Oh, and then this next match that's got to go 10 to 15 plus minutes. It's just a lot to take in. So it's going to be
And for
interesting
me,
how they
and
book that.
No, I'm sorry to keep drawing this out, and
Yeah.
just a particular. So, like, I part of what I enjoy about wrestling or any entertainment is like I do want it to like to think about it to like what does this mean, what putting things together, trying to figure out the story. That's part of the intriguing part.
Yeah.
If I'm just watching matches to see, flippy do A and flippy do B, well then my mind's turned off and I'm just
Right. You
like
can
that's
go to
all
a
I'm
local
doing, man.
bro, you can go to the local bingo hall here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you can just see a bunch of flip freaking my neighbor across the street and some other schmuck have a freaking 30-minute some odd classic. Like it doesn't fucking mean anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very odd just how this I guess you want to say this new era fans just think in regards to, I just want to see wrestlers wrestle. Like that's not like again, guys, there's foundations, right? There's
Yeah.
foundations in whatever the fuck it like a sport or whatever it is. Like there's certain foundations that just cannot be broken. Professional wrestling storytelling 101 is one of them. When you
Yeah.
watch professional wrestling, people call it like a what do they say it? Like a male's soap opera. That's what the
Right.
fuck it is, right? It's
Sure.
not
Sure.
just the wrestling. The wrestling plays a part of it, but it's the storytelling and the characters that we get intrigued by, right? People like Bray Wyatt, people like Sting, Brian, I know you're a big fan of Sting, people like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. I can go on, man.
Yeah.
All of these
Right.
people from way back in the day, and now it's just about how many flips I can do in 45 seconds and how many Canadian destroyers I can hit and no sell the fuck out of it and then hit 10
And
fucking
those sell
clotheslines
the fuck
after
out
that.
of it too. Yeah,
Like just to
absolutely.
get to the next spot. Oh, I hit a clothesline. Oh, I got to set up for my next spot. Fuck selling it because I got to put on all these maneuvers in less than 10 minutes. Like,
Yep.
God damn it, man. Jesus Christ. Anyway, to close out AEW, or at least
Hold
this
on,
show.
I'm sorry, I'm going on, man, but I saw this clip the other day, and maybe you've seen it too, where obviously some indie thing, and you've seen the now with the suplexes, right? You started out with the suplex, and then maybe there's a double suplex. These motherfuckers, I swear to God, and it took them like 3 fucking minutes to do it. They set up like, I don't know, 12 to 16 people to do a fucking suplex, man. I was like, what the fuck are we doing, dude? I swear they were just like, seriously, from rope to rope, all the
Yeah.
wrestlers in there, however many there were, and there were at least a dozen.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, god damn it. Come on,
Oh,
man.
Jesus Christ. That I'm telling you, bro, that's wrestling for you, man. And listen, again, it's like we get it, people. Like it's a different era. Things have changed and all that stuff. We get it, man. But again, there's foundations in wrestling that
Yeah.
just cannot be broken, man, at all. Right? Just because like there's athletes nowadays that can put on better performances than people like maybe a Hulk Hogan and an Andre the Giant, a Roddy Piper that could have done a couple years ago. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that we just throw character development, storytelling out the fucking window.
Right.
Like it just doesn't make sense, man, especially when it comes to long-term booking and letting things kind of breathe, right? Really telling and really emphasizing a certain story and telling it throughout the show. Sometimes you get little snippets of of stories, right? And you never hear about them throughout the rest of the show, or maybe within a week or two. It's just it's just really bad, man. It's just really
Yeah.
bad. So, but I know, Brian, you mentioned about Toni Storm on commentary. I didn't
Yeah.
see this match, but it was what, Saraya versus Mariah May, I believe it was.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about Saraya. That's how, again, much love to Saraya, but like you forget she's on this
Yep.
fucking roster. Like
Yep.
it's really that bad. And I'm sure Toni Storm, you mentioned, was on commentary. I'm sure her commentary was just as good, or was like the highlight of what the entire match even was. But yeah, but Brian, I know you have more insight about that than I do. Just your thoughts about Toni Storm, because I know she's doing tremendous work right now. So
Yeah, and so yeah, the match itself, man. I mean, it's I'm not even going to comment on it. It was at parts, it was just slow and like so telegraphed and just whatever. Yeah, Saraya. I don't know what AEW is doing with Saraya, and I mean, it feels like she came back, and now what? It's been what 3-4 years now, and I mean, she's not getting any younger. And with that injury, I just don't know how much she really
Right.
has left.
Uh-huh.
But so that being said, I mean, Toni Storm on commentary, man, it's just in that character, in that just the way she embodies it, man, is so it's refreshing to see somebody like that in wrestling. Period. I don't care, men, women, whatever. Um, and just some of the lines, like if you can picture the way she talks, she's like, she's like, "Oh, that's it, Mariah, smash her tits in." Just the way she says it, she had a couple lines like that. It's so fucking funny.
She gels in it really well, man. I
She
mean, you
does,
can
man.
tell when somebody is really truly having fun and is really gelling into a
Yep,
character. It really just oozes off of the TV screen, and it captivates your attention. And Toni Storm has been doing that better than even for some males on the
absolutely.
AEW's roster. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, for sure.
This is my negative drawback to it. And so at the end of the match, like forgive me, I can't remember her name, but whoever Toni Storm is fighting at Forbidden Door, who also apparently has some affinity for Mariah May. Well, she comes out there and so Saraya beats her. Toni gets up and I think she's trying to get the shoe, take her shoe off to throw it, but
Yeah.
she can't get it off. So she actually fucking falls. And that was funny as shit too. But she pops right back up, hops in the ring and is covering Mariah May. And then her opponent comes out. And it quickly turned into like this is gonna be like eventually just presented as a threesome. I mean, they're like literally like tits and face, like going full bore almost. I won't say full bore, but this is what I'm going to say about it, man. Like, there's only so far you can go with something like that. And maybe as so far you should go with something like that. And I know that's coming from me back in the Attitude Era, and I was, 18, 20, whatever. And sure, I'm sure 18 to 20-year-olds, yeah, fucking why not? I get it. But there's only so far you're going to be able to carry that angle, number one. And number two, and way, way more importantly, Toni Storm is doing such great character work, and this character, Timeless Toni Storm, you don't need to go down to that level for the cheers, for the likes, for the whatever. Like, she is fucking nailing it.
Yeah.
So I think to me, it kind of cheapens what Toni Storm is doing on her own with her character. You know what I'm saying? And I know
Yeah.
she makes comments and things like that, but this to me, like towards the end, it was like starting to like, well, the only place we can go now is like Edge and Lita. Like, what else are we going to do
Mm,
here?
mm.
So that's it is what it is. I know. Hey, sex sells, always will. And I'm definitely no prude. I'm just saying with what Toni Storm is doing and what she's been doing,
If it ain't
I
broke,
don't,
don't
I
fix it.
right, and I don't think you need to cheapen it with that to continue a
Yeah.
story or whatever, because she's proven like her character is doing it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And to close this out, man, and I've spoken about just AW in general and how bloated this roster is, and you can tell like Tony Khan tries his hardest. And listen, I'm sure the dude cares a lot about these people. Like, he's a nice dude and he means well, man, but it's just like this dude, he it comes across like he runs this show like a fucking amateur, because there's
yeah,
so many people to where one week they're not on the show and they're like, oh snap, this person so and so hasn't been on television in 2 weeks. Let me put him on the show because it's been a
in like
minute
a
since
big
I put him.
spot, in like a big meaningful spot.
Like there's certain people right now that need to be featured more on AEW television. Like MJF, if you would have given me more of MJF freaking last night, I would have had no problem with it. Give me more MJF backstage. Give me more MJF in the parking lot. Give me more Toni Storm in backstage and brawls and vignettes or whatever. Like there's certain people right now, Brian, that need to be showcased on AEW television more. And I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, James, but you're cutting TV time away for certain people. I don't care. It doesn't fucking matter because there's certain people right now, Brian, and I'm sorry, I get it. These are people's lives and people bust their ass to try to get TV time, but there's just certain people, Brian, that deserve or have earned the right to be on TV because they're just doing that damn good right now. And there's just certain people that are just not ready to be on consistent television. There's Toni Storm, there's MJF, there's Will Ospreay, there's Mercedes Moné, there's Samoa Joe, and a handful of people, if you want to name, that need to be on television and
Swerve.
be more of a value. And yes, of course, Swerve, your champion, that need to be more of a valuable asset to the show to where, never mind, we got to put Rey Fenix in a match. We got to put Saraya in a match because she hasn't been on television for fucking months. And nobody connects with anybody. Like Toni Storm, like you said, Brian, is doing so fucking well. It's just a shame that she's not a more talked about asset because she's hardly even on the program. She's on one little segment for maybe a handful of minutes, and you don't hear from her again. Why not put her in multiple segments like you did with the Learning Tree? They were in 4 fucking segments, Brian. 4 backstage segments. Why can't we do that with MJF and Toni Storm? And shoot, fuck it, the Bucks, right? The Bucks and the EVPs and the Elite, Jack Perry. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? But we're gonna put people on the show, like again, and again, much love to Saraya, but she hasn't been on the show for fucking what the fuck is it gonna do? Throwing her in maybe a title match against Toni Storm? Like, okay, it's like, let's see. She beat Thunder Rosa, she beat Serena Deeb. That's right. I have Saraya on my fucking roster. Fuck it, let's just throw her out there.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Just like take a certain people, right? A small group of people on your flagship show and put them on the show and make them the focal point of your show. And that's it, man. There's certain people that need to be on television because they have that connection with the audience. They're just doing that much better than everyone else. And then there's just other people that should just not be on television right now consistently. And when you do that to where you have them on television 1 week and leave them off 3 weeks from now, it's just doing more harm to them than good. And it doesn't make sense for the business and for themselves, for the talent. You're just ruining them. So it's so fucking frustrating, man. It really is. And that's all I can really say. Put MJF on the show more. I don't want to see MJF in just one segment. Put him in another segment backstage. I want to see Toni Storm in multiple fucking segments. I want to see the Elite in multiple segments. I want to see Swerve, your world champion, in multiple segments that carries a storyline throughout the show. Can you fucking give that to me, Tony Khan? Instead of putting out irrelevant fucking matches that don't do shit at all. They accomplish and achieve nothing. And to prove my point, look at your television ratings that you so desperately care about for the last 5 years. They've been in the shitter. Even your niche audiences had to walk away because they're like, what the fuck am I watching here? And now not only do you have to try to get casuals to freaking watch this show, but you got to win back your niche audience to where it's gotten that bad to where you have to consistently put on quality television just to bring those people back, those 200,000 people back.
Yep.
Oh my God,
for sure, man.
I did not expect to go off the way I just did there, but I'm going to end it there. So yeah, man, I mean, we'll talk about Forbidden Door once we get to it, and we shall see with Will Ospreay, Swerve, MJF, and Roosh. Well, I guess we'll let it play out because we got no fucking choice to. So, but we shall see, man. But before we get into Raw, I do want to mention a little bit about NXT and NXT Battleground, this pay-per-view that's coming up. Of course, as you guys know, WWE, NXT, TNA, they seem to be starting a little bit of a partnership as of late. Of course, mainly it's through from Endeavor. Of course, Endeavor owning WWE and of course owning TNA and the streaming service, which is TNA Plus. I spoke about that last episode. So, hey, we want to get people to watch TNA Plus, the streaming service. Let's take people over in WWE. Let's do this little collaboration for people to watch the product, right? So it's fucking love it. So we have this matchup with Jordynne Grace and Roxanne Perez. There's two matches on this card that really intrigue me, but this is one of them. So Jordynne Grace was in a matchup with somebody, I'm forgetting her name, just to kind of showcase who Jordynne Grace is to the WWE audience that don't know much about her or TNA. Freaking loved. I mean, it's Jordynne Grace, right?
Yeah.
She was in like a shoving match with Roxanne Perez. And then Roxanne, being the heel, kind of hightailed it before the damage got, was worse, right? And then Jordynne Grace was left standing tall. What do you think, Brian, man? Because, like, I look at Jordynne Grace, right, who's built like a fucking house. And I look at Roxanne Perez, who I adore, by the way. I still call her Roxy from ROH. But it's just like, you think that Roxanne Perez has to win this match because there is no way a wrestler from TNA winning the NXT Women's Championship on this said brand, right? I mean, there's no fucking way. But how can you believably see Jordynne Grace lose this match? The answer is, I don't know if you can, unless Roxanne Perez does some type of heel tactics to where maybe
that's what I was going to say, or somebody comes out, somebody interferes on her behalf. That's the only way. I guess so. Either a DQ either way, or either a DQ or somebody interferes and maybe the ref doesn't see,
there's going to be,
like
I was going to say, man, there's got to be some type of, like, you can't have, because even if Roxanne Perez beating Jordynne Grace clean, I mean, that would be great on Roxanne Perez's part, but like, to make that believable for Jordynne Grace, it's just like, I don't know.
And then what would that do for her going back to TNA now?
So like, and especially if you're going to continue.
That's why I don't think anybody's like losing face here. So I think it'll be some sort of DQ.
Or some type of interference, some type of interference to where, the referee was distracted, somebody gets involved and maybe costs Jordynne the match, and freaking Roxanne picks up the pieces or whatever and wins the match. You would think, right? But regardless, man, I'm really looking forward to this match. I know, of course, suits and ties, even on WWE's end, not just TNA, are very, very high on Jordynne Grace. They always have, as she was a part of the Royal Rumble. She was booked very well in the Royal Rumble. She went out like a badass against, I believe she got eliminated by Bianca Belair and that KOD on the ring apron. I thought that was really darn badass there. So it's going to be interesting how they just booked this match. That's just the one thing that really just, I guess, intrigues me in how they're going to book this. So it'll be interesting to see. And then you got Ethan Page and Trick Williams, man. And I will say, man, and I've spoken about Ethan Page, like, this dude is so damn good, man. And you can tell, like, they are blossoming this dude into a star, not just for NXT, but for the main roster. And it's a shame to where how he was booked on AEW's end and how just he was pretty much non-existent. You forget he was even on the roster. In regards to it. Now you go up against Trick Williams. I mean, if you book this right to a degree, because ain't no way Trick Williams is losing this match. I don't think Shawn Michaels is ready to give up Trick Williams just yet. I think he wants to at least play, because I think there's still more story to tell, at least to be told with, I guess, Lash Legend, as I guess they're still telling some stuff with that and this love situation thing that they got going on or whatever. So I still think you're going to see Trick Williams in NXT for at least the next several months, because I'm sure on WWE's end, I'm sure they definitely got their eyes set on Trick Williams to at some point debut on the main roster. So I guess we'll soon find out. But Brian, any thoughts about NXT Battleground and these two matches before we get into Raw?
No, those are definitely the two matches I'm looking forward to seeing. The women, again, just to see how that does go and what that does mean for partnership going forward. And like you said, with Trick, I mean, I think he's going to win or at least retain somehow. But I think both of these guys, Trick and even Ethan Page, and they'll both be up, to the main. Well, again, sometimes you feel like they hold them back too long, so who knows when they'll be up. But both of these guys will be on the main roster, fairly soon, I would assume, or at least within the next year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, with Ethan Page's part, man,
And
I
I think
loved.
he's great too. Yeah, I think he's got
Yeah,
talent, man. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
they were kind of playing. I know he's been playing like the shtick or the story to where, oh, like I haven't signed a contract anywhere, right? I still need to sign something on the dotted line to where realistically he's signed with WWE.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
like how you make the realism out of it. He made a post on social media to where like he's claimed like, oh, I haven't signed anywhere. I'm still a free agent. I'm still looking to sign somewhere. And in that the segment that or contract signing segment, he was with Ava Rain and then eventually with Trick. So and Ethan Page, and he's gelling into it, man. And you can tell just how much fun he's having. And I always say this about a lot of wrestlers, man. People like wrestling fans just want to say, "Oh, don't worry about the wrestlers. They're just getting paid. Oh, they're getting a good payday." Guys, some people actually give a fuck about their reputation. Ethan Page is a prime example on how you can tell he's just gelling into this heel persona that he's always had. And we'll see how they book this match against Trick. Obviously, Trick is going to retain, but if they do this into a way to where they can still make Ethan Page look pretty darn good. But after this match, man, you really got to start making Ethan Page book or having him win matches, gaining momentum, because you can't just have him lose this match and then just get 50-50 booked. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck are we actually doing here?
Yeah.
Because we've seen that before, even in NXT to a certain degree. As good as Shawn Michaels has done over in NXT, he's done this with a few people, and hopefully that's not the case with Ethan Page moving forward once this match is over with. So, but now looking really, I'm gonna definitely try to find time to watch this pay-per-view, as that'll be this Sunday. And those are definitely the two matches that I'm definitely looking forward to. So, especially Roxanne Perez and Jordynne Grace, just to see how that unfolds, as well as I know TNA is having an event soon to where you are most likely going to see an NXT talent or two on that said show. It's bound to happen at some point. I believe Jordynne Grace is facing some type of, or maybe not Jordynne Grace, but I believe it's Jordynne Grace. I have to double check that, but facing a mystery opponent. I mean, you would think that's got to be an NXT talent or some type of WWE talent. So it's coming, man. It's coming. This partnership is just getting started, just for Endeavor. Like I mentioned, their partnership with TNA. So it's all businessmen. And hey, I'm all for it, man. So I'm looking forward to see how all that unfolds between NXT and TNA. So, all right, let's get into Monday Night Raw, as we are 50 plus minutes into this thing. So let Monday Night Raw. And before I get to your thoughts, Brian, I have to start with this. And I hate that I have to start off on this note, but I'm going to. And that's, again, and I mentioned it last week, and I don't want to really sound like I'm kind of beating a dead horse when it comes to this individual, but once again, it's about Ilja Dragunov. So Braun Breaker was in a match with Ricochet, right? And I'm thinking like, okay, if Braun Breaker doesn't fucking put this dude away with, again, injured ribs within less than 5 minutes, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? So, and the finish was damn badass, by the way. He hits a Frankensteiner. He really shows it off, too. He's like pointing to the crowd and shit. He hits the Frankensteiner and everything. And then he hits the spear and finishes off Ricochet. I thought that was interesting, man. Some people in wrestling, I've heard stories about it to where, wrestling or wrestlers or your partner in that ring could be a true dick to where like, dude, what are you showing off for? And you can really make that individual look stupid and not sell for them. But Ricochet, he still did his part to where he had to kind of work extra harder, because here's Braun Breaker showing off on the top rope and then delivering the Frankensteiner. And then you saw him sell the spear to where he didn't sell as he did last week, right? When he delivered the spear to where like, all right, like you did your whole spiel on the top rope. I'll take the spear, but I'm not going to take it as devastatingly as I did last week or whatever. I kind of caught that a little bit. I don't know if that's a coincidence, but I thought I'd mention that. But very interesting there. Again, props to Ricochet. I know I give Ricochet a hard time, but he does do his part when it comes to making a certain individual look good. He does that to a degree. So much love to him. And then, of course, you got, like I said, Dragunov gets involved. Because Braun Breaker was trying to do a post-match beatdown, and Dragunov, comes to the aid of Ricochet, as Dragunov went from being this just unhinged, badass NXT character to now he's trying to be friends with Ricochet now. He's trying to befriend Ricochet, and he's trying to befriend all of these people in the back. What the fuck are we doing with this guy? To where now, Brian, next week or this coming Monday on Raw, we're having Braun Breaker face Ilja Dragunov. What the fuck, man? Like, you're putting two NXT talents, right? Or talents that just got called up to the main roster. Braun Breaker, who can't lose. Dragunov, who can't lose. That's been nothing but who's been booked nothing but no more than average as of late. And people are saying, I get, well, James, it's going to be a DQ. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Regardless, this match shouldn't even be a thing, period. Right? And good for Braun Breaker. They are booking Braun Breaker tremendously right now. And much love to WWE for booking Braun Breaker in this manner, as they should. But why is it at the expense of Dragunov? I don't fucking understand it. So where this is going to lead to what? A triple threat with Ricochet, Braun, and Dragunov now? Like, we usually see this stuff in regards to a title maybe being involved, right? There's no title involved. It's just Ricochet and two talents that just got called up that shouldn't even be together. Like, what is this freaking mess of a fucking of a threesome we have here? Because it's baffling the fucking shit out of me. I don't understand it. Like, Dragunov, he should be primed in a position to not face a guy like Breaker, because Breaker can't lose. He's going to be the powerhouse of this matchup, right? The main focal point of this matchup is going to be about Braun Breaker. We know that, because Braun Breaker has the better booking right now. But what is that doing for Dragunov to where, maybe he's going to potentially get speared and lose the match, but Ricochet's going to get involved? But that's still going to make Dragunov look so fucking average, man. Like, when are we going to pick this up with Dragunov? And then people want to say, James, it's relax, be patient, Triple H, let him cook, let him do this, let him do that. Guys, by the time we get to, let's say, this said match with Gunther, right, as I'm sure that's something that WWE has in mind. Guys, by the time that Dragunov maybe does win a match or two, and maybe does gain a little bit of momentum, it's going to be too little too late, because guess what? People are not going to care about this guy anymore. They're just not. Because first impressions, Brian, I always say, matter so much, because if you don't book somebody properly, especially when you plan on putting this guy in a match with Gunther in the future, you have to make this guy's booking precise. And the way that and listen, it could be rectified. I'm not saying it can't. But right now, man, they are just doing a horrible job with Dragunov right now. And this match with Braun Breaker makes no fucking sense when you have two people that can't afford to lose. And I'm talking not even a DQ loss. They can't even afford that. And it's so baffling on what the fuck Triple H is doing. This is type of booking, Brian, to where you want to smack Paul Levesque's freaking dome piece, his bald fucking head, and say, what the fuck are you doing? What are your thoughts, man? Unless am I wrong? I don't know. I'd love to get your thoughts about it, man.
No, so I think the only way it can, kind of redeem itself, for lack of better terms, is like you said. I mean, both of these characters, Braun and Dragunov, down at NXT, right? And we've spoken about this before, of how so many NXT talents get caught up and you immediately change their character and what worked for them. And while Ilja Dragunov still has, while in ring, he still has that unhinged quality about him.
Of course.
The outside of the ring doesn't match.
No.
No. And why? Just
he comes off as it's just an average dude. He's just trying to be friends with Ricochet. Don't worry, Rick, I got your back out there, right? He's shaking hands with Ricochet and trying to be friends with all. That's not Dragunov's character. It's not. And so you want to play that character in the ring, but you don't have that same energy outside the ring. Like, what are you doing with this guy, man?
Yeah.
It's fucking horrible. But yeah, continue.
So the only way I kind of see this, hopefully, with they're playing this injury with Ricochet, and of course, if he's going into matches with Breaker, he's going to get the shit speared out of him. So I'm wondering if they're just going to be going with some angle here where, well, like we said, I mean, Ricochet's contract is coming up. We don't really know what he's doing, but
Right.
if they have an angle where an injury takes him off TV and Dragunov is therefore sticking up for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you gotta, in this way, as much as we say 50-50 booked or whatever, it doesn't work. But I feel like if you're going to immediately put Braun and Dragunov together, this has to be a feud. And when I say feud, when I say that, I mean like 3 matches, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
going to be, a 1-1, and then whoever wins the third one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you book this with both of them, showing their physicality, the brutality, and Dragunov in a much different way than Braun does, but then it could work. But I feel like that's the only way. Like you can't just feed this guy to Braun and then no, fuck that.
No. Can you imagine if this dude took a fucking L this coming Monday? Can you, Brian? If you think I'm ranting now, I'm gonna fucking lose it. If that fucking oh my god! And I could see it happening. I really could see just them actually doing that.
No,
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna happen. But
yeah.
I can see it to a degree. But yeah, no, continue. Sorry for
no. I mean, I thought Dragunov was a star in NXT, a star worthy of being in WWE, on SmackDown or Raw, and yeah, I just hope that's not the way that this is going to go. Is that he gets in this match with Braun on Ricochet's behalf or whatever, and then is just kind of destroyed.
Yeah. And that's it's just so weird because the story's not even with Ricochet or Dragunov. It's mainly with Adam Pearce because the shtick is like, oh,
right.
You left me out of the King of the Ring tournament. So he's creating all this chaos. So there's more friction there. Like that stuff is good. And if you want to involve Ricochet, that's fine. I mean, clearly, if Ricochet, you want to have somebody be the fall guy to where, hey, you could put on some banger matches and be the fall guy to a bigger talent, then yeah, Ricochet's your guy. But why add Dragunov into this, man? Dragunov doesn't benefit from any of this, especially when Braun Breaker is the powerhouse, right? No pun intended, because he's legit a powerhouse. He's built like an ox, a tank. But he's the bigger asset in WWE's plans right now, to where it just makes Dragunov just just underneath the radar, because Dragunov should be having the same type of booking, maybe not to this extent, but at least close to it, to where people feel like this dude is badass, to where when he does fight,
he should be
Gunther,
feared.
he should be feared, and he should be looked upon like, dude, when him and Gunther go at it, bro, I didn't see their matchup at NXT UK, but now we're gonna get this at maybe Bash in Berlin, dude. Take my freaking money. But if you book him like this, by the time we get to Bash in Berlin, who's going to care about this guy? Because we see it, Brian, too many times. I've seen it way too many times from NXT talent, to where this dude can start to fade away from casual fans and from wrestling fans really fucking quickly, especially the way you're booking Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker's going to be the focal point, and that's great for Breaker. I love what they're doing with Braun Breaker. But it can't be at the expense of Dragunov. It can't. You can't be doing this to Dragunov. There's got to be a better way. You can't tell me this is the best way to book Dragunov, bro.
Yeah.
You can't tell me.
And also, I think Dragunov, again, in this matchup, I mean, I guess you're assuming that Dragunov is now going to play the face. Dragunov's much better as a heel.
Yeah, we've seen him as a heel character as well. I think as a babyface, I think he could play both. Honestly, actually, I think he's proven that to me. Over in NXT.
I just think I think it works better.
I hear you.
Heel, but
I hear you. No, absolutely. I can hear that side of the story. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, we've seen that heel side of Dragunov. Absolutely. But yeah, man, just again, to make a long story short, man, I get it, James. Like, James, be patient. James, don't worry. Triple H, like, just let him figure it out. He's gonna give Dragunov some W's. Just give it time. Guys, like, it doesn't work that way, man. Imagine if Macho Man Randy Savage were to debut in WWE and he were to just be 50-50 booked. He would just freaking lose. He would win one match and then lose his next 3 matches. Like, come on, man. Really? And again, not comparing Macho Man to Dragunov. Just again, you're debuting a certain superstar is what I'm saying, right? It's just like, again, man, it's just people like, oh, don't worry, Dragunov's going to be fine. He's going to get some wind under his belt in the next couple of weeks. But guys, it doesn't work that way, because by the time you do give Dragunov a little bit of that rocket in the near future, nobody's going to care, because you already swiped the rug underneath him already with this fucking shtick that he's doing. It's just, it doesn't make sense.
See Bobby Lashley, see Street Profits, see, whoever.
I'll give you more examples.
Cameron
Grimes, bro. Cameron Grimes, who's no longer part of the company. Karrion Kross. And this AOP, remember, like, oh, we were so hyped about this new faction with Final Testament. Nobody gives a fuck about this faction, bro. Nobody gives a shit. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. Remember how everybody was so amped and intrigued about that? What the fuck is that doing now? Absolutely nothing. Yes, I get it. Bobby Lashley's hurt. But guys, let's act like nothing's been different about the Street Profits and Lashley since they formed. There's been nothing different. Like, I've seen this, Brian, way too many fucking times with people, man. Dijak. Where's Dijak, by the way? Where's this dude, bro? You draft this dude to Raw to just not even have him on the show. This dude's trying to put out freaking content on social media because they don't have shit for him. So he's just sitting at home, just making freaking Instagram videos and shit. Like, what are we doing with these people, man? Why call these people up to the main roster when you clearly don't have shit for them? Oh, but they're getting a paycheck. Fuck off, man. Stop. Golly, man. Anyway, let's move on, because I want to get the ball rolling here. So let's go into this world title situation. So Damian Priest was in a matchup with Rey Mysterio. Of course, Judgment Day gets involved. I'm going to speak on Judgment Day in this whole spiel here. But Damian Priest wins the match. He wins the match via the South of Heaven chokeslam. Drew McIntyre gets in or attacks Damian Priest after the matchup. He goes to, I guess, put Damian Priest through the announce table. Damian Priest kind of counters. He gets the advantage. He hits the razor's edge through the table onto Drew McIntyre. And you got the whole Judgment Day standing tall, and Damian Priest stands tall with the world title. And that's how Raw pretty much went off the air. Man, I don't know. And when it comes to this matchup, Brian, it's going to be really interesting to how they book this match. Cause like, I don't know how Drew McIntyre doesn't walk out of Scotland and not with this world title. I really don't, but I can also see Damian Priest also defending this championship to where it could further along a story with Punk, and maybe Punk is in Scotland and he, I guess, costs Drew McIntyre the championship. It's just a very interesting situation, because I don't know. And I guess because now you also have Gunther in this situation, because I don't know, man. Something tells me, Brian, and we've spoken about this, especially with titles, I can see a lot of flip-flopping happening, bro. I can just see it. I can see Drew McIntyre winning this title, and then I can see Drew McIntyre losing it right after, maybe to Gunther at SummerSlam. Just that could potentially happen. Or again, Damian Priest could potentially still walk out of Clash at the Castle with this title. But again, what does that say about Drew McIntyre and how you book this match? Again, it depends on, I guess, how they book it. But this is just a very interesting situation, man. And I said it from the jump, to where if not done properly, this could really make somebody look really, really bad if this is not booked properly. And that's all I'm going to say of just how we have placed these people as of right now, especially with Priest and with Drew. It's in Scotland. So I don't know, man. Brian, what are your thoughts in regards to this situation with Priest, Drew, and Gunther, man? What do you think?
Yeah, until the end of Monday Night Raw, I mean, I was as certain as you could be that McIntyre's walking out of there champion. But man, and I was still, because it's in Scotland and whatever, the whole story that's being built and all that. I mean, I still would lean towards him winning. But there's part of me, man, I don't want to see, I'm not ready to see this Priest title run. And not that he's done anything great yet, I just want to see where this goes, like within the Judgment Day, and just how all this plays out. Um, and that's just me as a personal fan. If there's something I don't know what it is, because like I mean he hasn't had any great match or great feud or anything like that. But there's something I guess there's something I hope I'm waiting to see. I hope they have planned for it, if that makes sense. Um, but all in all, I do think Drew is probably going to win. But I wouldn't be mad at all if Priest retains here some way somehow, and
Mhm.
and we see where we go from there. Because there's
Especially,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not. I don't know. Like you said, I could definitely see it being a CM Punk thing, costing McIntyre another match, and
I
yeah,
don't think WWE even knows. I truly don't. I really don't even think WWE knows what to do right now. I don't,
maybe not.
because
Yeah,
we've seen even under Triple H too. Like we've heard like things kind of being called the day of the
yeah,
event that
yeah,
happened. So I don't even think WWE knows right now what to do in regards to this situation. So yeah, man, and I guess in regards to Priest, to where he's going to potentially turn face. The other question is how are you going to now prolong Drew and Punk? Is Punk going to get involved at Clash? Is he going to get involved at SummerSlam? What's the deal there? So I don't know.
yeah,
It's very interesting in how, again, we have just gotten to this point and how we've just set up this match. So I don't know. It's just, again, I truly don't think that WWE even knows what to do. But as of right now, I just don't see how Drew McIntyre, if I had to call something out, I don't know how Drew McIntyre doesn't walk out of Clash at the Castle in Scotland
right,
without that title. I just don't know. Especially with Damian Priest, and to where we've talked about with him and Finn Balor. Does him and Finn Balor start a feud in
hmm
the future? We talked about that whole little demon picture that was in the Judgment Day locker room.
right,
So I don't know. I guess you can say the other good thing about it is, or at least being hopeful, is that there's routes to go to, but
yeah,
those routes could lead to something that's just really not, what's the word I'm looking for? That can just ruin people right now. That could just ruin people's booking. So I don't know. That's just my gut feeling right now. It's just that I just don't see Drew McIntyre not winning this match at Clash. That's
yeah,
that's just how I am as of right now. Maybe that changes. And I mean, we'll see what they do next week, because you always see, like, especially within segments, right? When somebody kind of gets the upper hand, right? They stand tall before a big
yeah,
pay-per-view. They're usually losing the title, but we do have another show left. So I guess we'll
yeah.
soon find out what
And let me
happens next week. But yeah, go ahead, Brian.
and let me just say this: if Priest does wind up losing here, man, I mean, for as short as this title run, would ultimately be, like, he has shown me something, man. I mean, I think his promos have gotten
Yeah.
better. Like, so shout out to him, man. Whatever, if you want to call him a transitional champion or whatever this is, for the time that they gave it to him, I think he's done pretty well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, shout out to Priest, and we were spoken very highly about Priest last week and how he has done, or even ever since joining the Judgment Day, really,
Yeah, yeah,
years ago. He's improved dramatically. So he definitely deserves his praise with that. The one nitpick I will have, if I have any, about just how everything transpired, at least in this segment, is the Judgment Day. There's a lot of just Judgment Day run-ins, and how it just feels like it's just very redundant, whether it's with Braun Strowman or Dragon Lee or Rey
Ris-
Mysterio. It
or
just feels
Dominic
like
and Liv,
there's death, there's taxes, and the Judgment Day in a run-in segment running into the ring.
right,
It just feels a little redundant, to where let's kind of pump the brakes. I mean, if you want to keep showcasing the Judgment Day, or what's left of the Judgment Day, with freaking JD, Finn, Dominic, and I guess Carlito, who's part of this whole spiel, like, get creative and kind of just change the setting up a little bit, to where, like, I don't want to just see a run in, like, every time, like, whether it's after the match or during the match. It feels just very redundant of how the Judgment Day are just getting involved, whether it's with Priest or Dominik. I don't know. That's just
Right.
very just interesting. But we'll speak more about the Judgment Day later on in our final topic. But let's get into the second topic, and that is the Intercontinental title situation. So Sami Zayn, your Intercontinental champion, comes out, is on the microphone in a segment. He calls out Chad Gable and everything. Alpha Academy, minus a Chad Gable, comes out. Maxine Dupree is kind of leading the way alongside Tozawa and Otis, as Maxine Dupree kind of delivers a message, from Chad Gable to deliver to Sami Zayn. And he talks about how, like, oh, you think you can turn, again, this is Maxine reading the notepad or the notes that Chad Gable told Maxine to read. It's like, oh, you think you can turn my team against me? They wouldn't be nothing without me. Frickin' Maxine would be just some dumb Barbie, and frickin' Tozawa would just be playing ninja somewhere in the backstage. And no, Otis, this big doof, he couldn't even hold on to his Money in the Bank briefcase. It's just like these insults from Chad Gable is just fantastic. Calling Maxine a dumb Barbie. Like, where's Tiffany Stratton? I don't know if Tiffany freaking found of that. But anyway, and Sami Zayn, he's like trying to show compassion and sympathy. He's like, Maxine, you don't have to do this. Like, stop. You don't need to do this. Right. And, the message ends with, Chad Gable asking for, through Maxine's words, a rematch for the Intercontinental title. And then Zayn's like, listen, if this is what needs to happen to end this, then tell him he's got it. Chad Gable eventually sneak attacks Sami Zayn from behind. Maxine is on the ring apron. And, of course, you got Sami Zayn and Chad Gable brawling. He gets into Zawa's face, and he's like pushing and shoving him. And Otis, for the first time we've seen this, gets in front of Chad Gable. He gets into his face, and this dude's not happy because he's berating Maxine, continuing to berate Maxine when he was out there. He was taking out the belt and everything again. And now Otis is like, he's pissed, bro. Like, he's not backing down. And you can hear the crowd too, man. They're behind Otis and everything. The crowd's really into it. And then that's where Sami and once again Chad, they start throwing blows at one another. Chad Gable throws Sami Zayn into Otis, and that knocks Maxine Dupree off the ring apron. And then Otis, he turns around because he doesn't see who did it. And Chad Gable's like, no, he did it. Sami Zayn did it. And like Sami Zayn's like, dude, come on, man, stop. You can't believe this guy, right? It was clearly him that he shoved me into you, right? And then once again, Otis makes his choice and he lays out Sami Zayn. Alpha Academy once again stands tall, or mainly Chad Gable. And that is the segment. So once again, you saw a glimpse of potentially Otis saying, fuck this guy. I'm going to freaking lay into him. I don't like how he's treating Maxine, but then kind of comes back to earth and once again sides with Chad Gable and takes out, or helps Chad Gable take out Sami Zayn. As we have another matchup for Clash. It's going to be Chad Gable and Sami Zayn. So that is your segment. Brian, your thoughts, man. I'll have you start. Your thoughts in regards to the segment.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good continuing it's the same stuff they've been doing. And it's, obviously at this point, the turn or the breakup or whatever, it'll be a Clash at the Castle. So, we still got a little bit of time before that actually happens. So yeah, it'll just be, how much longer do we got until that?
We have, so Clash at the Castle, we got another week. Yeah, another week and a half.
Another week, okay.
So it's June 15th. So it's about, I want to say 10, week and a half. Yeah. So about 10 days or so, 9 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So there won't be, there'll be another, one more segment probably of something along the similar lines of what's been happening. And then we get the Clash at the Castle. So really it'll just be, I'm just waiting to see how it happens. Cause we know what's going to happen. And, I still think it's going to be Otis and them turning on Gable, but maybe Gable has something else planned. So that's what I'm waiting to see. Yeah.
Right.
But all in all, it's good. I think again, that kind of depends on how this plays out, who walks out the champion. I'm leaning towards Sami retaining, but again, if Gable has something else planned with a couple other people, then he's walking out champion.
Yeah, I mean,
if you know who those
especially
couple other people are.
right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as of right now, Chad Gable, I believe his contract expires tomorrow. As of tomorrow, his
Oh,
contract expires. So, we've spoken about Ricochet's contract earlier. We've spoken about it last episode with Becky and others. Chad Gable is one of those people. So it's going to be interesting in regards to what does go down with Chad Gable. Do they give him this championship, and that will pretty much prove to us or show us that Chad Gable's
oh yeah.
re-signing with the company. So that's going to be interesting with that. I mean, you would think that they would have to
I think he
even
is
without.
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we all
Yeah.
expect Chad Gable, whether it's freaking on tomorrow, whether it's next week, whether it's maybe right before Clash at the Castle the week following, like he's going to re-sign with WWE. It's just a matter of when, I guess.
Yeah.
And what also is being pitched to Chad Gable behind the scenes as well. And we've spoken about this too, Brian, about the rest of Alpha Academy, right? It's like when this is all said and done, like what is this benefiting Alpha Academy, right? I will say, Maxine and Tozawa, yeah, I mean, I don't see what much they have to offer once this is officially done, this whole situation with Chad Gable. But I will say, man, the one person that really can benefit from this after when this is all said and done is Otis. I mean, you hear the reaction that this dude gets, and you remember how this dude once upon a time, this dude was pretty darn, maybe not over, right? I don't want to say like, oh, because I know that's really kind
I
of
think he was
overkill.
over with when he was in the shtick with what's her name?
Oh, what was it?
Shit.
Mandy Rose.
Mandy Rose.
Yeah,
he was over. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same dude that's hold on to a Money in the Bank briefcase, man, and they took that briefcase away along with his personality and his booking. They had him come back as this kind of mean, like mean mugging everywhere,
Yeah,
and
right.
cut his hair, and his booking has just kind of gone derailed. And you sometimes forget about Otis as he was kind of just underneath the radar, but now he's got his personality back. He's got the beard and everything back. And, so that's the thing, man. That's the one person that could really, outside of Chad Gable, because I mean, Chad Gable is the nucleus out of this entire situation. But Otis, man, like this dude can be a bona fide megastar. Maybe not LA Knight. Yeah, maybe not to that degree. But this dude can legit be a star, man. This dude is is well liked within the wrestling community, within wrestling fans. He was once mega over, maybe not mega over. I'm just kind of stretching it, but he was over to a degree with fans, and he's got the personality, the persona, the character. He's got like that type of vibe to him. And if you keep that momentum rolling with Otis after this whole spiel with Chad, maybe he turns on Chad Gable and you can get the ball rolling with him. Not saying it's going to happen because I don't expect it to happen truly at all, unfortunately. But if that were to be the case, man, Otis can be at least that one person that could benefit from this outside of a Sami Zayn and a Chad Gable who still have or are going to be I guess the more valuable assets when this is all said and done, at least once this is all over. So yeah, I really like where this is going, man. Again, Chad Gable is just phenomenal. No pun intended to AJ Styles, but this dude is freaking awesome, man. He's been just putting on, dare I say, some of the best work he's ever put in his career. It's in this heel shtick, man. It really, truly is. You're really, truly seeing, and Chad Gable's put on really decent work with like comedic stuff, right? He's been in, comedic shticks with Kurt Angle, with others within this Alpha Academy stuff. It's good, to a certain degree with RK Bro, right? With Matt Riddle and Orton, in the past, but now you're seeing this different style of a heel in Chad Gable, and he's truly blossoming into it, and he's gelling into it, and it oozes off the TV screen. And it's just like, going from Shorty G, from being in a tag team with Jason Jordan. Do people freaking remember that whole spiel? And when he had the long hair and everything, right? So it's really cool to see how far this dude's come to where I would watch Chad Gable perform and I wouldn't give a shit. And now, but I always saw the talent in him. This dude has something when he was starting to become on his own. Like I saw like the potential, obviously, in his in-ring work. and he showcased a little bit of his personality. Like, there's something in there. And for so long, they just did not want to give this dude the ball or the chance to. And now they finally give him this chance, this opportunity, and he's fucking running with it, man. And it's really good to see. It really, truly is. So, I mean, you would think Chad Gable's got to take this title. I mean, it's because now we're at the third matchup now with both Zayn and Chad Gable at this point. Chad Gable defeated Sami Zayn. That was, of course, due to Otis. And obviously all those altercations from, outside of the ring. So I don't know, man. But then there's, of course, with Sami Zayn and how, going back to what I stated about Gunther and how, you had Gunther hold on to this title for 600 plus days, and then Sami Zayn wins the title. So you'd think Sami Zayn would at least hold on to this title at SummerSlam. But I don't know if that's the case, man. And I guess that, determines whether Chad Gable in this contract situation, but I guess we'll soon find out. But everybody involved, man, deserves a golf clap from me. And I'm really looking forward to see where this goes. And one of the few bright spots in the show was this segment for sure. All right, let's get into this final topic. And the final topic is Liv Morgan, another asset of the show who has been carrying Monday Night Raw as of late alongside Chad Gable. And I'll speak more about that later. So Liv Morgan started off the show, of course, talking about what happened last week. Dominik kind of interrupts and saying, listen, I don't know what type of game you're playing. I don't know what you're trying to do here, but I'm telling you this right now. When Mami comes back, she's going to kill you. And Liv Morgan's like, yeah, probably, but she's most likely going to kill you too, Dominik. So, and he's pretty much like, Liv Morgan's like, she's acting all sexy and shit. And she's trying to like seduce Dominik, like backing him up into a corner and like touching him and stuff. And Finn Balor kind of runs into the ring. He's like, stop, enough. Like, Dominik doesn't want you. Like, none of the Judgment Day wants you. Like, you need to leave, get out of Judgment Day business. And Liv Morgan's like, fine, I'll go. But what if he doesn't want me to go? Right. And like, Dominik's like, he's got this look to where he enjoys it, but he doesn't want to act like he enjoys it. I mean, it's fucking Liv Morgan. I mean, come on, bro. If Liv Morgan is touching you like that, like, come on, bro. You can act all you want that you don't like it. You fucking like it, bro. Listen, I get it. You're with Mami and everything, but like, bro, it's Liv Morgan. I mean, come on, bro. She's got the red lipstick and everything, like, fucking hey. But so Liv Morgan walks away without, like, so she touches Dominik's, or the back of Dominik's head, kind of like that, like, again, seducing him in a way, like he's slowly kind of touching him. And you kind of see Dominik like slowly kind of smirk, like he likes it, like touching her. And I'm sure like Rhea's gonna freaking see that, like, and once again, we got a pissed off Mami on our hands when she does come back. And then Carlito later on in the night was in a match against Braun Strowman. The match was obviously, this match didn't last as long as that freaking opening segment. That tells you everything you need to know. But of course, like I mentioned with the Judgment Day, they rush out after the match. They beat up on Strowman. They take out Braun Strowman. And then you had Liv Morgan come out there. Well, first off, Dominik was chasing around, or Braun Strowman was chasing around Dominik, and like Dominik was like on the floor up against the rampway. Liv Morgan kind of blocks off Strowman, like, oh, don't do it, don't attack him, don't do this. And that's when Judgment Day gain the upper hand. They take out Strowman and everything. And then once again, like, Dominik's at ringside. He's like, yeah, freaking take him down, let's go. And then freaking Liv Morgan's behind him, once again trying to like persuade Dominik. And then once again, Finn Balor, he's like this overprotective father. Like, get your hands off my Dominik. Right? I fucking love it. That's just how it just was really funny to that degree. But Finn Balor's trying to like get in the middle of it. And then like Liv Morgan kind of like backs off, and he gives Dominik like the little finger wave or whatever as she walks back up the rampway. So, man, I mean, like I said, man, Liv Morgan and Chad Gable, right? And as well as a few other assets to the show. Absolutely. They deserve their praise. But the nucleus, that's Chad Gable and Liv Morgan, and those two separate stories are carrying this fucking show. I don't care what anybody says, man. Those two are, and it's very impressive, may I add, with Seth Rollins on the shelf, CM Punk on the shelf, Rhea Ripley's on the shelf, The Rock is back in Hollywood. I'm sure we'll be back soon. Roman Reigns is not here. So many people are not on this show. Top stars. And Chad Gable and freaking Liv Morgan said, freaking hold my beer. We'll take care of it. And they're doing a tremendous job. And again, alongside people like Damian Priest, like we mentioned, man, but it's Chad Gable and Liv Morgan that are truly, like I said, the nucleus that is Monday Night Raw, and the intrigue that is Monday Night Raw is coming from those two. And they deserve their praise and what they're doing. And Dominik and just how he's playing it off. Again, Finn Balor, I'll even give Finn Balor credit being like, again, that overprotective type father shtick towards with Dominik and everything. Listen, man, and again, this continues to add intrigue to see what Rhea Ripley does when she comes back. How does Dominik get involved, or how is he brought into this? Is he going to be?
How does he get out of this one?
Yeah, like does he become like? How does Dominik get out of this situation to where you got Mami on one end and you got Liv Morgan on the other? So is he going to?
I mean, some might say that's not a horrible problem to have.
No, dude. Oh, dude, Dominik is living his best fucking life, bro. This dude's 27 years old. He's got a wife. He's got Mami, and he's, I guess, a side chick in Liv Morgan.
I mean, damn, Dom. Damn.
Hey, listen, no, can't play her hate, bro. This is my applause to Dominik. So he's there. That dude is that dude's living it up right now. That's for sure. But so yeah, man, it adds a lot of intrigue to see where this goes. It's one of the hottest, as well as the positives, the main positives in this show, at least intrigue wise, to see where long term this heads. And again, with Dominik, like we said, how does he get out of this situation? Is he a special guest referee? Is there a custody of Dominik match? Does he get it? Yes, I'm just throwing that out there. So maybe at SummerSlam, it's Dominik's the referee with Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the world title. Or do they do some type of stipulation? I don't know. I mean, special guest referee kind of came to mind as we now get kind of at least further along into the summer here. But yeah, Brian, I'd love to get your thoughts, man, on this whole situation with Liv and Dominik, and where you think this kind of goes from here.
Well, I got to start by referencing, because the kind of the same, some of the same aspects of this storyline are very similar to what I was mentioning with Toni Storm and everything in AEW. However, and so I don't want it to seem like I'm just like, oh, well, you're not going to say anything about WWE doing it. But in this storyline, it's different. Like Liv, like that's her goal, like is to take everything from Ripley, the title, Dominik, maybe even the Judgment Day. So that's where I would draw that distinction. But I would say, and not that WWE has done anything gratuitous to this point, but I would say just keep it there. Just like, toe the line, whatever, and let the story tell itself rather than just trying to make sex sell it. Like, tell the story of what's actually happening,
Yeah.
But all that being said, and here's even another aspect to it of as much as like Finn and, JD or whatever are coming out there and saying like, Liv, we don't want you here. We don't want you around us. Anytime she does come out, as you mentioned, like when she blocked Braun from getting to Dominik, and that allowed Judgment Day to get the upper hand, they might not want her there, but she's given them the advantage. So at what point do they then start to say, well, like,
it's like a situation to where we don't trust you, but I mean, if you're going to help us right now, then, at least we at least make somewhat of a friend, not an enemy type of situation. So I guess,
So yeah, all of it, and obviously all this is going to culminate when Rhea comes back, and we see, but right now, what they're doing in anticipation for that, I love it, man, for sure. And the possibilities of how they could, when it all does get said and done, of because Liv and Rhea are going to have that match, but how what Dominik's role in it is going to be, that's going to be really huge, man.
And it's definitely going to add spark to a Rhea Ripley babyface run. At some point. So that's what's also great about this too, to where, we talked about Rhea Ripley and how how can she gel into a babyface, right? We've seen a babyface Rhea before, and she's done so well as this heel in Judgment Day. And we've even said it at times about Roman Reigns, because we know Roman Reigns is going to return as a babyface at some point with the bloodline and that whole spiel. But the way that we're getting to this said face turn, man, is where the spark and the intrigue and the investment is truly going to come from. And hopefully that momentum carries once this whole story is over. And that kind of carries into maybe next year's Mania and years to come. As for Rhea Ripley, as well as for Roman. And who knows how long Roman's going to...
With Roman and Rhea, like both of them
Roman,
have grown into this. So, them coming back as faces, I'm not worried that... Like, it's not going to be the Roman suffering succotash Roman, and it's not going to be like long hair. Well, it might be long hair Rhea Ripley, but it's not going to be that, kind of young, fresh face, whatever. Like, these are now bona fide talents, and they know who they are. And
absolutely, you're not getting the Rhea Ripley baby face that you saw coming out of NXT. You're not going to get the Roman Reigns baby face, the suffering succotash, and all of those freaking promos that Roman Reigns used to cut. Like, you're not getting that. And you saw it even from Roman Reigns' standpoint and how uncomfortable he was and how he was just all over the place and was just he just didn't feel it. And we felt it as fans. But now coming back as a baby face, like he knows who he is. He knows what the story is supposed to be told. And and hopefully that momentum, like I said, sparks into what Roman and Rhea Ripley, both of them side by side, being the two main baby faces of this company for quite some time. And who knows with Roman? I mean, Roman has spoken about Hollywood, eventually going to Hollywood at some point. Who knows how long Roman Reigns is even going to be in WWE over the next maybe year and a half, 2 years, 3 years from now. But in regards to when Roman Reigns comes back, but mainly for Rhea Ripley, as that's the main topic here. For Rhea Ripley, man, it's gonna truly benefit her in this babyface run, as well as for Dominik and Liv and their progression as heels, further down the line. But at the end of the day, man, like we always say, just give us something to talk about, give us something to be invested into it. And what's cool about it is that there's also multiple ways that you can go about it. Not in a baffling way to where like this doesn't make sense, you got to get yourself out of a pickle type way, but ways to where everybody benefits from it. And that's what's really cool about this entire situation, especially with Liv, Dominik, Rhea, as well as the Judgment Day as a whole. So time will only tell, man, to see where this goes. So how can Dominik get himself out of this? That's the question. But
he ain't getting out unscathed. He's going to take a couple ass whippings for this one.
Oh, yeah. But again, man, that dude is no doubt living his best life to where he's got Rhea, he's got Liv, and he's got a wife. He's actually married, by the way. So he's I'm telling you, bro, this dude,
guy.
Man,
I mean, does he live in Colorado? Is he out there with the Mormons?
I think it's San Diego. I think.
I would just say it like with the Mormons, like where they can marry, like have 7 wives or whatever.
Right. Oh, possibly. I don't know. That's funny. But yeah. Hey, listen again. No, don't hate the player, hate the game. I guess that's what they say, right? But thank you guys once again for tuning in to another edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Once again, make sure you stay tuned this weekend as we will be having stuff to talk about for SmackDown. After, of course, what happened this past episode, we talked all about it with AJ Styles and his fake retirement. So I'm sure he's got a lot of explaining to do, as well as the OC, as they were pretty much involved into it. They weren't kind of baffled by it. They were involved into that whole spiel.
Yeah.
So they all got freaking something to say in regards to that. Not sure if you'll probably see Cody Rhodes. Maybe this will be a week to where Cody Rhodes is kind of off TV after the attack that he delivered. I mean, he took a Styles clash from the ring floor, as well as he got his ass whooped from the ring post and everything else. So this could be a week to where you may not see Cody Rhodes this week, or maybe you do. Who the hell knows? But we'll talk about it this coming weekend, as well as a bunch of other stuff with the Bloodline. We'll see where Solo Tongaloa goes with the Bloodline, with Kevin Owens and Paul Heyman, seeing where that goes and everything. We talk all about it, man, this weekend. Stay tuned for it. As well, of course, next week we got Clash at the Castle. We have a full pay-per-view review for it. Make sure you guys stay tuned for it with a very special guest that will be joining on the show. He is a tremendous supporter of our platform. He is a dear friend of mine that I came across on social media. Again, he's a big sports fan, but he's also a big wrestling fan. He has a podcast of his own that I had the pleasure of collabing with, and I felt like it was only right to return the favor to bring him on the show. Who that person is, well, you got to stay tuned to find out to see who that person is. So make sure you guys stay tuned for it next week when we review Clash at the Castle. And of course, as always, follow us on social media. Follow us on Instagram. You see the banner down below on Instagram, on TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. Make sure, of course, you join our beloved Facebook page. We have 70 plus amazing members on our Facebook page. Join our Facebook page as well. We are on the cusp of 1,700 followers on TikTok. I believe we're about 9 to 8 followers away. So make sure you guys spread the word, hit that follow button, join our wrestling community, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are very close to 200 subscribers on YouTube, so make sure you guys spread the word about that as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more content to come. Brian, floor is yours. Your final thoughts before we end the show.
Just as always, man, thanks everybody for liking, subscribing, listening. And what I'm really looking forward to, especially this Friday, man, is whatever Solo has. Well, the Solo and whatever they're anointing, either, I'm not sure if it's Tongaloa or Tamatanga, but doing something with one of them. But I expect something to happen there, either with KO or whatever.
What you call them? Tonga squared? I think you said something.
Oh
about
yeah, Tonga squared, which is
Tonga
I don't know.
squared.
Oh
man.
So yeah, man, it'll be good stuff leading into the pay-per-views, and as always, man, we're really just waiting for a lot of top stars to come back, and once they do, again, hopefully they can remain healthy for a little bit, because if so, there's a lot of great shit that can happen here in the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we said it, once WrestleMania went off the air, to where a lot of top stars were going to be out the door, going to be out off of TV for a little bit. And now you're seeing people like Chad Gable, people like Liv Morgan, people like frickin' Damian Priest, that have stepped up to a certain degree. And hopefully that momentum continues to where once these top stars come back, we can truly create and build something special, or this company can truly build something special in the long run for SummerSlam and for WrestleMania for this coming year. So time will only tell. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. That is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
Until next time, there will be a next time. Your boys are signing off, saying salutes.
Peace out.
And take care, everybody. Top guys out.
Carry on.